How much are you willing to pay for a McDonald's Big Mac and fries? Okay, are we willing to pay $9, let's say, $12, $16, $18? Okay, so I heard a rumor the other day that McDonald's might be raising their Big Mac meal or Big Mac and fries up to $18. Okay, so let's see if that happens. Here's an article from Yahoo Life News, and it says McDonald's is officially raising prices in California after new wage laws. Go figure, right? Because when they raise minimum wage up, that has consequences, right? Well, this is your consequences: raising prices. Go figure. So let's explore this article a little bit. It says, of all the issues surrounding the fast food industry, wages have long been among the most contentious flashpoints. Okay, so and then it says here down below, it says, for decades, fast food companies like McDonald's have sworn up and down that they couldn't possibly afford to raise wages while at the same time seeking to automate jobs. Okay, so they're talking about this bigger burger not booger, but burger flipping robot, and that have not panned out so well, right? And so they, and you can't blame them for trying, right? So they tried to automate some aspects of fast food, right? Because look, you can see it in when you go there, right? And even at the grocery stores, right? They got the self checkouts, the kiosks, the ordering on your app, on your phone. So you got lots of different ways they can automate the system to where they don't have to pay employees to do that. So that's one way they're cutting out the little guy, right? And it says here that says now the chain is finally preparing to pay its California workers the new state mandated $20 minimum wage. It says since the average McDonald's wage in California for cashiers appears to be $15 an hour. I don't see why they say appears, because they can literally look it up and it says $15.50. So and usually they pay above that, so it's usually about 16. It's likely to be relatively significantly increased. Okay, so duh, because they have to pay the minimum wage, right? So, so of course it's going to go to 20. They're not going to say appears to be 20. No, it's going to be 20, if not more, because usually they want to pay a little more in the minimum wage just to attract them, because otherwise they won't be able to find workers, right? So it says here the company isn't simply paying up, though, as it means to ostensibly protecting its bottom line. McDonald's is also raising menu prices. This comes after fast food companies increased prices by 13% in 2022. So that means they've already rose prices by 13% since last year, right? So, and that's before minimum wage went up. So if they're talking about doubling it again, you're talking a percent on a percent, right? So if they go if they already went up 13%, and let's say they go up another 50%, that's going to be like a double price increase, pretty much, because it's not going to be good, right? So it says while fast casual chain Chipotle is contemplating hiking prices by mid to high single digits, according to CNBC, McDonald's hasn't commented as how much or more expensive the food is going to be. Well, of course not, because they're not going to want to scare away their customers. They want them to just show up and just, if they want the food, they're going to have to pay the price, right? Okay, so it says McDonald's believes it can benefit from the wage hikes, right? Which I thought was pretty interesting. So how can they benefit from these wage hikes? Now, I always hear this, people talk about how corporations are being greedy, right? And that's the whole cause of inflation is corporate greed. Well, this is a prime example of that. Okay, so I would say McDonald's is being greedy, and the way they do that, so they can actually profit from this, and let me explain why. Okay, so it says here on September 28th this year, the bill was signed into law, raised minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 per hour. And the agreement goes in effect fully April of 2024. Okay, so it's not for a while. So that means they could probably slowly start increasing the prices up until 2024. That way it doesn't seem like they're going to scam you, right? So if they raise the prices, let's say 13% every single year for the next 2 years, that's a pretty significant increase. Okay, that could be up to a 45-50% increase when minimum wage only went up 29%. So so there's one way. It says, interesting in the long term, the fast food chain appears to believe that increases in both wages and prices could benefit the company. On a conference call, CEO Chris Kempczynski said, "We believe we're in a better position than our competitors to weather this. So let's use this as an opportunity to actually accelerate the growth in California." And says he may be right. As the most profitable food chain in America, McDonald's may indeed be able to withstand wage hikes more easily than its competitors. Okay, so how could they do this? So the one way they can do this is by getting rid of their competition, right? So if they keep raising minimum wage up, that kills small businesses, right? So little mom and pops that are paying employees minimum wage, and they're hanging by a thread. You know what I mean? They just got hit with a pandemic. Everybody had to mask up. Everybody had to do drive-through, takeout, and these small companies, they're not that tech savvy and don't have billions of dollars to pay for kiosks and online apps and all this other stuff. So most likely these small businesses are hanging by a thread. So they're hoping that these companies probably go bankrupt. And that way it's more customers for who? McDonald's, right? And that will increase McDonald's share. And so that way you're forced to go to McDonald's, right? And then another thing to look at is automation, right? So they already got rid of the cashier because, like I said, I went to McDonald's the other day and I had to wait almost 20 minutes just for a cashier. I was being real stubborn and I stood there and waited until somebody helped me, and because I refused to use the kiosk, and because I like my food the way I want it. You know what I mean? I want to say, hey man, hey, can I get a fresh burger instead of an old nasty burger? Yeah, and you can't tell a computer that, right? So and so you need a real person for that. Another thing is, so talk about automation. I keep getting these feeds in my YouTube ads that talk about French fry automation, right? So they'll literally get rid of the fry guy, right? So they'll have this whole setup, and let's look at a video here.
Meet Flippy 2. Flippy 2 is our AI-powered robotic fry station. It installs overnight and takes over the entire tasks of cooking fried food for restaurants.
Miso Robotics in Pasadena, California, has started rolling out its Flippy 2 robot, cutting the human out of a big chunk of the cooking process in fast food restaurants. Miso says the machine can cook several meals with different recipes, simultaneously removing the need for catering staff and speeding up the process at drive-thrus. Flippy 2's robotic arm, similar to those seen in car plants and manufacturing, is powered by cameras and artificial intelligence. It can do everything from taking frozen French fries, onion rings, and other foods from the freezer to cooking them in oil before depositing them ready for serving. Mike Bell is CEO of Miso Robotics.
When an order comes in through the restaurant system, it automatically spits out its instructions to Flippy. It takes a frozen product, fries it for the precise amount of time, and puts the finished product in the end. It does it faster, more accurately, more reliably, and happier than most humans do it.
The original Flippy was designed to flip burgers, but after speaking to restaurants, Miso Robotics realized that there was more of a need around the frying station, particularly late at night.
It's the position that's often hardest to fill, it's hardest to retain, and so it really doesn't take anything away from restaurant workers. In reality, they're delighted to have the help so they can do other things.
Miso Robotics' 90 engineers are not only reimagining the food making process, but also drinks.
This is Sippy. This is actually the inner workings of Sippy. Sippy will be able to take an order from a customer and put out a perfectly poured drink with a lid on it and a straw and all grouped together. What's happened is this technology is quickly caught up and is now solving these problems back of house very reliably. There'll be a point in time when humans will walk into a restaurant and look at a robot and thinking, yeah, remember in the old days when humans used to do that kind of thing? I mean, those days, it's coming. It's just a matter of, how quick.
So I thought that video was really interesting. So, and as you can see, a lot of that video is already into practice because even at my McDonald's next to my house, they have the drink filling station where the cups automatically come out and fill the cups and with ice and drinks, and they put the lids on, and then all they do is and it should all be in order, and they just hand them out, and so really all they need is just a human being just to grab the drinks and hand them to the customer, and it's pretty hands off, and to make sure if it's a fry station, just make sure everything's stocked in the fryer section and make sure everything's running smoothly. Probably just somebody to maintain the equipment, but and that way they can afford less workers, right? But could a mom and pop store afford this machine? I really doubt it. This machine probably costs a couple $100,000 probably, and if you're a struggling mom and pop business, you're gonna have to either just do it all yourself, or you're gonna have to hire somebody and just work them like a slave, because it's gonna be terrible, because how else are you gonna pay that individual $20 an hour when McDonald's is doing it for nothing? You know what I mean? Because if they have machines doing it all, it's costing them basically nothing, because granted it costs them for the machine and stuff, but that's a long-term investment, and that's all part of the cost of doing business, right? So so that's how I think McDonald's is going to benefit from this, and how corporate greed could take over. Because anytime you have large wage increases, I always find it interesting when, who supports this stuff. If McDonald's is supporting a large increase in minimum wage, doesn't that seem kind of fishy? I just say question everything, right? Because if a corporation is there to make money for their shareholders, for their, for the bottom line, they need to make a profit, right? And so if they're asking government to pass laws and to do all these things, to benefit their workers and stuff like that, do you think they're really doing it for their workers, or do you think they're doing it for the bottom line? I think it's more for the latter. I think it's for the bottom line. So I would definitely question this, and let's pray for California, and hopefully it doesn't spread to the rest of the country, because I know Washington loves to copy California. So usually anytime, our governor here doesn't have a brain cell of his own, so he usually just copies whatever California does. And so I'm sure it's coming here too. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that's what they're trying to do, or do you think it's something else going on? Or do you think they're just a really nice company that just wants to pay everybody, $100 an hour minimum wage, and that way we can all sit around the table and sing Kumbaya and eat McDonald's Big Macs and fries, right? So tell me what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.